Okay, most of you, if you've seen our videos for the Southwest Wildlife Foundation, you know that I've dedicated about, oh my goodness, 48 years to rescuing sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife. And this is not the case with this little gal right here. She actually is going to be a wildlife ambassador and one of my personal falconry birds. And so the process that we work with her is very, very different. And I've gotten a lot of questions that I thought I'd start answering a few questions for everybody so you understand what the difference between a falconry bird and a rehab bird and the processes that we use that's very, very different between the two. Now, first of all, with the wildlife rescue, we never acclimate them to people. That's the worst thing you can do. We want them to basically have a fear of humans. That natural fear that they have, and so we do not socialize them, we do not pet them, we do not we're not nice, we strictly rescue them, we heal them, and we release them back to the wild with as little human interaction as possible. But with a falconry bird and an educational bird, that becomes very difficult for the simple fact that this little gal right here is going to be a wildlife ambassador for the rest of her life, and she'll be going to schools and scout groups, and she'll be doing all sorts of wildlife programs, and we don't want interaction with humans to be stressful for her like they would be for a wild hawk, falcon, or eagle. My first question is, why this particular bird? I've been a falconer again for 48 years, and falconry is a very ancient form of hunting. We go out and this little gal right here will hunt jackrabbits and cottontails and ducks and pheasants. It started in China about 4,000 years ago, and so it's a very ancient. You don't want to sit on your food, sweetie. There we go. I'll get that out of your way. It's a very ancient field sport. It is actually recognized by the United Nations as a World Heritage activity, and so falconry has a tremendous history. And I am a master falconer. And so why this particular bird? Well, a couple of reasons. The hawk that I've had as a falconry bird for the last 28 years, he's a Harris hawk. He came out of my captive breeding program. He did not come from the wild. And I had his mom and dad. And he's 28 years old. The average life expectancy in the wild for a Harris hawk is 7 to 10 years. So he's lived 4 times longer than normal. And in that process, he is old, he's retired, he really doesn't hunt anymore. We still use him for wildlife programs. He's a great wildlife ambassador, but at some point in time, he will pass away. And so we do need a new bird to not replace him, but to certainly take over the job that he's had as a wildlife ambassador for the last 28 years. And I have chosen a Northern Goshawk. Now, why the Northern Goshawk? Well, first of all, the Northern Goshawk is one of the best of the falconry birds. This is a forest bird. They like to nest in the pines and the quake and aspens at about 7,000 to 9,000 feet. Extremely secretive. It's a very powerful bird, and it's just dedicated as a very, very aggressive hunter. And so this is a good choice for falconry. In my 48 years of rescuing wildlife, I've rescued a lot of goshawks over the years, but I've never trained a goshawk in falconry. So this is actually my first personal goshawk for falconry. Now, the reason I chose this particular girl among all the other goshawks that were available to me, here in southern Utah, our goshawk populations are doing poorly. And because they're doing poorly, I felt it was inappropriate to acquire a goshawk from the wild. Now, it's perfectly legal to do so, and when there's really good populations of different kinds of hawks and falcons, it's actually beneficial for falconers to pull a bird from the wild. And the reason for that is that about 80% of all birds of prey do not survive the first year in the wild, raised by their mom and dads. And a falconer can come in, pull a young hawk or falcon, raise it, train it, fly it for a couple of years, return it back to the wild, and now the bird has a 90% chance of survival. So in essence, falconers can put more birds back in the wild than they take. And so it's very biologically sound to pull them from the wild when the populations are very good. Unfortunately, with the Northern Goshawks here, the population is not good, and so I did not want to in any way add additional stress to an already stressed population. And so I found a captive breeder that breeds these in captivity, just like I bred Harris hawks in captivity for falconry. And so he had this female. Now, she is not 100% native. She is exclusively a falconry bird. She is never to be returned to the wild. This little gal right here, her father is a goshawk from Finland. And they're basically northern goshawks throughout the northern hemisphere, so they're found in several parts of the world. So her father was from Finland, and her mother was a southern, eastern Arizona, and those goshawks are called Apache. And so she's half Apache, half Finnish. So when she grows up, she'll have a bit of an identity crisis. No, not really. She'll be just fine. But she'll carry some of the characteristics of both. They're both beautiful, beautiful, beautiful animals, but they are never ever meant to go back to the wild. So she will be my bird for the rest of her life. And again, she will do thousands and thousands of school programs and scout programs. So the reason I chose her is to be able to fly a goshawk, and this particular bird, because she's out of a captive breeding program, she doesn't put additional pressure on the wild population. So that's pretty much why I chose this particular bird. So anyway, we'll do a few more videos with her as she's coming along. If anyone has any more questions about about her, about the training, the handling, and the things that we're doing, please feel free to contact us, and I'll try to answer anyone's questions that anybody may have about the processes, and hopefully maybe go into a few more details. Just turn you around as you're thinking about it.